cow swims Lake Ontario, or in the case of the waterlogged Pugset, for unhappy people everywhere. It starts off with a little quote from G.K. Chesterton. It's too often forgotten that just as a bad man is nevertheless a man, so a bad poet is nevertheless a poet. Okay. I had a perspicacious pup who woke me up when my house was burning down. I had a quick-witted cat who found her way back from the other side of town. But cows are not thought to be terribly smart. It's hard to get them to heel. They won't fetch sticks or do any tricks. You can't teach them to honk like a seal. Cows are nice, but they don't catch mice. They won't play hide and seek. They'll knock over a pail with a flick of the tail, but they can't spell Mozambique. When young, a cow is called a calf. Calves love to run and play, but I never saw a calf laugh or stare up at the Milky Way. I once saw a cow in yellow boots, another with a spiral horn. But cows spend all day devouring hay, never wondering why they were born. If a cow could talk, I bet she'd say, "It's not easy being me. I'm so overweight I can't find a mate, and I can never really be free. I'm loved for my meat. I can't walk down the street without being grabbed, roped, or shot. I'm not cute, I'm not pretty, I'm not even sweet, and that's why I'm so distraught." If I follow the cat or a dog through a door in a shopping mall, let's say, the dog or the cat would go free as a bee, but I would be carted away. I'd be poked and prodded and put in the back of a truck with other cows, and then we'd be sent straight back to the farm, or maybe to the slaughterhouse. So this is the way a cow might talk, but cows can't talk, that's true. A dog can yelp and yip and yap, but a cow can only moo. A bird can chirp and cheep and peep, chatter jabber, bill and coo, and warble and twitter and trill and crow, but a cow can only moo. An owl can howl, and a boar can roar, and the various beasts of the zoo can perform all sorts of snickers and snorts, but a cow can only moo. They're not very thrilled about being killed as they stand there chewing their cud, but they just keep standing there waiting their turn and ignoring the smell of the blood. Yet now and then in the animal news you'll hear of a cow of note, one with enough sense to leap the fence when they're about to slit her throat. In my winter coat, out there in my boat, one cold night a week ago, I was sitting there fishing with nary a bite on Lake Ontario. On the shore you could see a tall chimney belching black smoke into the sky. There were junkyards and steel mills, dumps and oil spills. It was enough to make you cry. The name of my sloop was Amy McPoop, and I was trying to remember why, when out of the silence a 10-pound salmon went soaring into the sky. It sounded as if the king of all fish was leapfrogging over my prow, which was all very nice, but when I rubbed my eyes twice, I saw that that fish was a cow. A few stanzas back in this slack almanac, I said a cow can only moo. But by golly, I was wrong. It turns out now that a cow can dog paddle too. A fish will often skip along the top of the sea, but this was no fish, I'm afraid. It had two shining horns and no scales or fins. This was a cow on a wild escapade. Its eyes were as full and as calm as a plum as it plowed through a star-kissed wave. It may have been dumb and it had a thick tongue, but this was a cow that was brave. It was swimming at night. It was swimming at maybe half a knot as a horned moon spilled a pail of light which sparkled on its horn, and I decided to get on its tail. I pulled in my line and took off my bait and got out my compass and chart. That cow was swimming in a line so straight it almost broke my heart. Where was it going, thought I, and why? I consulted my maps like a mountain. That car was swimming straighter than a freighter towards Prince Edward County. Have you ever dreamed of a cow like that, who would slip away from death row, who would be so intense she would leap a fence and run away like Pinocchio? But no puppet was this, it was more like a fish, swimming towards the horizon, with me following along in my little cold old sloop, all night till the sun started rising. I kept at my distance all through the night, as the cow plowed through the brine. When the sun rose, I knew I'd fallen in love. I wanted to make that cow mine. I'm no cowpoke, I didn't have a rope, and I had no plans to seize her. To jump on her back, ride her back to my shack, and put her in my freezer. I'm not a fake. I enjoy a good steak with mushrooms, peas, and rice. But I'd never dream of anything as extreme as putting that cow in my ice. I won't tell a lie, I'll eat a shepherd's pie, but I have no plans to subdue her. To take her to my digs and jab her in the ribs and put her on my barbecuer. Nor was I thinking of reporting her to the slaughterhouse constabulary. Maybe I'm not the nicest guy in town, but I love that cow's vocabulary. She could only utter moo, but I loved her, and I even wanted to marry her. I was so dim I didn't know cows could swim, never mind right across like a terrier. And there as the dawn turned into the day, in front of my eyes so sore, way off in the distance, so thin and so blue, ran a line that for sure was the shore. I could see Wicked Point and the old lighthouse that stands at the tip of Point Peak. That cow had swum 90 miles, I suppose, but my boat had no odor meter. When it was getting pretty close to noon and the sun was way up in the sky, the cow's hooves struck bottom. She shivered and shook, and she let out a bovine sigh. Sigh. Not sky. Sigh. She raised her body and stumbled ashore and fell down in the warm, dry sand. But she didn't rest long. She soon got up and let out a moo so grand. Cold and blue was her udder, so terribly puckered. It barely swung as she walked, with a gait that was hobbly and a little bit wobbly, and I just stood there and gawked. It seemed straight to me there was no TV, no well-wishers, no crowd, no one to applaud my waterlogged friend of whom I was so proud. For let's face it, her feat was just as great as that of Marilyn Bell, or Vicky Keith, or other swimmers who at great distances excel. Slowly she walked through a grove of trees, about 30 feet from the shore, and I heard in the distance the crunching sound of hooves on the forest floor. I followed the sound till I came to a clearing, and there I stood quite still. And what I saw was so endearing, my heart danced a little quadrille. There was a pasture with a barbed wire fence and a good-sized bovine herd, all standing there ringing their ding-a-ling bells and looking quite absurd. They looked at my cows and saying, "Oh, wow, where did you come from, gal? You look like you swam across that lake from the very jaws of hell." They all came trotting up to the fence and they licked each other's noses. They slobbered and snorted and mooed and cavorted and trampled on some wild primroses. They all backed up to approve their view. There was an atmosphere of suspense. My cow gave a moo and a little chew, then leaped right over the fence. Time to say farewell, but no way could you tell my cow from the rest of the guys. They all stood en masse, gobbling up grass and flicking their tails at the flies. It was hard to leave. I knew I'd grieve, although this is only a fable. But she'd lazily graze for the rest of her days, providing milk instead of meat for the table. 2002.